Hi everyone, I want to show you a few ideas about visual hierarchy in virtual reality. I'm going to start with talking about 2D visual hierarchy from a graphic design point, and then look at how this works in the 3D space. So I'm just going to teleport from my spawn point over here, and we've got a poster, and it's saying, well, you will read this first, and then you'll read this line next, then you read this, then there's some other text which is quite hard to read. So why am I showing you this? Now, this poster obeys the very basic rules of hierarchy. We've got colour. You're going to read the yellow first because it stands out. You have size. Read bid text first because it stands out. You're going to read from top to bottom, left to right, which is where we are roughly there. I'm looking at priority. There's a few other things that you see there. There's various lines of grey text, which you're going to read after the white and after the yellow, and that's just where your attention is focusing around. There's a lot of examples on this. Things to think about putting 2D information in a 3D space is that when you create a 2D poster or a bit of information on your computer, you're looking at it on the screen in front of you, probably the screen you're watching me on right now, and you can zoom in and you move your face closer to it, so there's a lot of text and you can see very easily. However, when you put that file into a virtual space and put it on the wall, it's going to behave the same as a real poster. So let me explain. This poster's got 3 lines of text, or 3 sections of text, which are light grey on a dark background, so very low contrast, very hard to read. And because of that, moving closer doesn't really help. So you can just see a line there saying, you probably read this line before reading the rest of the text, didn't you? Well, that's true if you're reading it on a computer or a page, but when you're looking at a screen, you might read that one because you can't read the one above. It's just a bit too high. Getting closer, perspective's completely warped and you can't see it. At the top left, there's a line of text saying something like, later on you might come back and read this, which is great apart from you can't see it, so you can't read it. So just because you're doing something clever or getting attention in a 2D space doesn't mean it's going to translate. You want to treat this as a real poster, so put it into the VR space, put your headset on, and just try and arrange the heights that are useful. Human eye height is around 1.6 meters, give or take a bit. You're going to have maybe a 5 degree above you can read and about 30 odd degrees below you can read. You're viewing everything at about a 20-degree cone of angle. So if you're in this like cone coming out from your eyes, it's going to be able to be easily read, easily seen, and it will work the way you wanted it to. If it's outside that, which in this case that top line is, you're just not going to be able to read it. And frankly, when I put my head forward this way, you're missing the top of the screen. So it's just things like usability more than anything else. But assuming you can see everything, the rules of hierarchical design apply. So how does this work for 3D space? Well, I've got 3 NPCs in my area. There's a bartender over there who's talking non-stop about coffee, so out of my own heart. And we've got 2 NPCs over here talking about marriage and money. What they're saying isn't important. What is important is why you spot who you spot. So we are going to spawn around over here, and looking out, we spot the barman first. Well, why do we spot him first? He's wearing a white shirt, whereas the other 2 are wearing dark clothes. This guy's standing up, the other 2 are sitting down, so straight away he's elevated, we're going to spot him first. He is on his own. He's very open. There's nothing much around him, so there's lots of space there. We notice him. Whereas those 2 are kind of camouflaged in with the rest of the seats and everything. So we've got the size is bigger because standing up is closer to us. Because he's closer, we have proximity going, he must be important. He's got the colour of his shirt, he's got the space around him, and also there's a signal going on, and that signal is the sound of the coffee machine. Now, up close, you can hear him talking about coffee, and you hear the machine whirring. Going over here, you can still hear espresso machine churning away. So that's giving me a signal that something to do with making coffee is going on, which I need to be paying attention to. It's not going to be those 2 over there, it's one over there. So why is this important? Well, if you wanted to tell a story, so give information over a series of touch points, I would give the first bit of story or engagement or information to this guy, and then everyone else. So maybe I'd say, have this guy say, listen to people and hear their stories and discover what's happening. Then you move over here and listen to people, various bits. Other signals we've got going on, we've got red booths over here. I haven't done anything with them, but if I wanted to signal that someone's got something important to say, I would put them in a red booth rather than on a plain table. We've got the stage here, which is wonderful for height. They are above you. Space, there's not much around you. There's a focal point. It's a really great place to get this interaction in there. And if you were to just hear a voice from behind you going like, hey, 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 you turn around and there's a guy on a stage, or there's two people sitting down, I would assume it's the guy on the stage. So it's a really important part of didactic moments there. But yeah, so you can see that you've got hierarchical principles work in 2D and they work in 3D. You've got to make sure that you've tested your VR experience and it's unfolding the way that you want it to.